Welcome everyone to Press Start. My name is Jeremy, and I hope you are all having a wonderful week. There is quite a bit of news to get to, including some delays, DLC releases, and even a movie that I'm actually looking forward to. With that said, if this is your first time to the channel or you're returning for another video, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below to be notified of future videos. And if you like what I'm doing, give this video a thumbs up and leave a comment down below on your favorite news of the recent weeks. All of this really helps me continue making new videos for you guys and could potentially expand on what I'm able to offer. So, without further ado, let's get to the jam pack. First news of the week is something I had hoped I wouldn't hear, but I'm actually not too sad about it. Final Fantasy VII Remake is delayed from its initial release date of March 3rd to April 10th, and the upcoming Avengers game is being pushed back from May to September, according to publisher Square Enix. So first thing to say, I'm not upset over the Avengers game, as I've actually not been excited for this game. I know that there are a lot of people who are. So yeah, for that one, its release is going to be September now. Maybe, unless it gets pushed back again. For me, I'm actually going to focus on the Final Fantasy because, as you are well aware now, I'm a huge fan of the series, and it was included in my top 5 most anticipated games of the year. Now, let me start with any delay sucks. I mean, you get hyped for a game, you want to play it, of course, as soon as possible, so when that release date is first there, you get excited for that day. And then, when it gets pushed back, it's just frustrating. But for this one, the delay didn't upset me too much. For one, it's just a month delay. It's not a huge time. If it was pushed back to like the fall, like Avengers, or even next year, then this video would probably be starting off very different. But it's, again, just a month delay. And second, a delay doesn't mean the game is going to be bad. It means that the game could be better. And in this case, with it only being a 1-month delay, that means there's not much that they can change with the game. However, I will say, because it is 3 months from now until the actual release, there could be some adjustments that are made there to polish the game up, and that is going to be a good thing. For me, it also harkens to the quote that was made from Shigeru Miyamoto, who once said, "A delayed game can be eventually good. A rushed game is forever bad." Now, this is far from a rushed game, as we know how long the development has been for this, but that is important to keep in mind, especially for the Avengers game, which did not get a lot of praise when it was announced back at E3 of last year. For Smash Bros. Fans, the next DLC character has been announced, and it's another Fire Emblem character! Byleth from Fire Emblem Three Houses is the 5th and final character to join the Super Smash Bros. Ultimate as part of the Fighter Pass. That character will launch on January 28th and can be purchased individually for $5.99 if you don't have the pass. I'm going to refer to Byleth as he for the rest of the video, as when I played Fire Emblem Three Houses, I played him as the male version, so that's what, of course, sticks out to me. But it is important to note, in this DLC character pass, you can use both the male and female versions of Byleth that is playable in the game. So I will say, I actually don't hate the reveal. I wanted it to be a different guest character, since we got the likes of course, Joker, Banjo-Kazooie, and Terry Bogard in this pack. But for me, Byleth does make sense. I mean, he's, of course, another Fire Emblem character, which is a Nintendo product, and he is a liked character from that game. And, of course, if you didn't put Byleth in there and you tried to put someone else from that game in there, the other 3 main heads would definitely have brought some controversy on which one got in and which 2 did not get in. So for me, again, I like this. And again, I liked Byleth as a character in the game. Even though for me, he felt pretty much like a silent protagonist. Even though he does have text dialogue, that's just how it felt for me. He also looks really fun to play in the demonstrations of his character for the game. So I will admit that I could potentially be switching over to him as my main character, though it is hard to put Mr. Game & Watch on the shelf, so maybe not. It was also confirmed in the video today that the next Challenger Pack will include 6 characters instead of 5, and you can pre-order that starting on January 28th for the price of, well, they didn't say, but you can pre-order it then. Currently, there is no information on when these characters will be dropped or who is going to be in it, but it was confirmed all 6 have already been decided, and they will all be out by the end of 2021. Speaking of Fire Emblem Three Houses, the game will get some new story content in its upcoming DLC release, which is set to drop on February 12th, and it is titled The Cindered Shadows. In this DLC, you will play a side story where you meet students from a hidden 4th house, which is called the Ashen Wolves. For the record, I don't own the DLC pack for this game, and I actually haven't even played my second playthrough of the game, but that's simply because of the backlog that I have. I will say, from watching the trailer, I did enjoy what I saw. The new characters look cool, even though one of them did bother me, as they either have a similar or the same exact standing animation as a current character in the game. Other than that, though, I just really am looking forward to this story content. It piqued my interest, and I end up getting the DLC content for it. As to not spoil anything in the actual story, I will just talk about the trailer and what is shown in it. As I said before, you're going to meet the 4th hidden house, which is called the Ashen Wolves, and they reside in a town called Abyss. Now, Abyss is found below Garreg Mach Monastery, which is the main location for the game. So again, that's not a spoiler. You're going to find that out very quickly when you start the game. And it sounds like this town is inhabited by those who've turned their back on the world above ground. And it sounds like that happened basically hand in hand. They turned their back, the world turned their back on them, they turned their back on the world. Something of that nature. And because of this, the 4th house is widely unknown, and in this, these kids that are in this house don't have a teacher to lead them. So, of course, it sounds like you, as Byleth, is going to lead these students. Now, it is unclear, according to this video, if you will be forced to guide these students, or if you're going to have the option for multiple routes and being able to fight against them. For me, I hope it is the latter, and you have that opportunity to either follow the students, or lead the students, I should say, and go against the students. And the reason being is that will, of course, just make the DLC content beefier and have more things inside of it, and as well as make the DLC have better replayability. For me, Fire Emblem Three Houses was arguably my game of the year for 2019, and that's not just simply because it was one of the few games that I played in 2019. That was from 2019. It has a great story, music, and the battles were exactly what I wanted in a game, especially at that time. And for someone who's a strategy RPG fan, I think anyone who is those kind of fans would love this type of game. So if you haven't checked it out, I would say go check it out, and currently it is on sale. And for the last piece of news, if you wanted to see the Dragon Quest animated movie that premiered in August 2019 in Japan, well, you won't have to wait much longer. Netflix has announced Dragon Quest Your Story will be available on this streaming service starting February 13th. An overview for the film says Luca follows in his father's footsteps to rescue his mother from evil Ladja. Finding the heavenly hero who wields the Zenithian sword is his only hope. The story is adapted from the 1992 release Dragon Quest V, which is also available to play on Nintendo DS. Let me give you a warning though. Don't expect this movie to be great. It currently has a 4.3 out of 10 on IMDb, and there is also a lot of gripes across the internet with this movie, for many fans saying the ending is straight up dumb. For myself, though, I just want to see it for myself. Because of Dragon Quest XI, I have gotten really interested in this series. It was definitely overlooked by me for many, many years as a Final Fantasy fan, and I just want to soak up more of the story and lore of these games. This movie may not be amazing or great or anything, but at least for me, it could scratch that itch that I have for this series and just give me the insight on a game that I, of course, overlooked. Now for our featured comment, it comes from Andrew AT15. When I asked in my most recent video what games people may be interested in remaking, he responded simply, I want a Xenogears remake. So For me, this game is really interesting because I actually had never heard of this game prior to being roommates with Andrew, the guy who, of course, made the comment. When he bought this game while we were roommates and played it, I actually became hooked on watching him play, and it surprised me because I'm such a huge fan of the Xenosaga series that I just couldn't believe that I overlooked this game on the PS1, especially as an RPG fan. I would definitely be interested in the remake of this game. I probably would buy it day one. I will just say, though, I don't see this game happening. With how the game's development went and the fact that it is widely known that the game was supposed to be longer and the ending was rushed, I just don't see Monolith leaving the game as is and being interested in a remake. The only way I see them making that remake is if they restructure the second half of the story and make it more of what the original idea was. But again, I don't see them making a remake of that and having that original idea this many years down the line. That's all we have for this video. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and comment down below. Also, hit that subscribe button and consider hitting the bell notification so you can be notified of every time I post. Thank you again for tuning in for this episode, and as always, remember, your gaming news starts right here.